Hello everyone. Today I talk about one topic on gynecology. It is uterine fibroid. It is also known as fibromyoma. The fibroid is the commonest benign tumor of the uterus. It is composed of smooth muscles and fibrous connective tissue. That's why it is also known as uterine myoma or fibromyoma. Incidence of this condition: about 3% of patients or 3% patients of the fibroid develop symptoms, so they remain symptomatic. About 20% patients at the age of the 30 remain asymptomatic, means they don't get symptoms of the fibroid even though they have fibroid. You get the higher occurrence in the Negroes, so it is more common among Negroes. It is also more common in the nulliparous women and in those who are having one child infertility. Also more common during 35 to 45 years of age. That means fibroid is more common during the reproductive age group. Etiology of this condition: it is not exactly known, but there are certain risk factors. Like along with the fibroid, mostly you will get infertility and endometrial hyperplasia as the associated condition. Development of the fibroid during the reproductive period may be estrogen dependent and may also occur due to increased blood supply to the uterus. The fibroid may be in the heredity. Now we come to types of the fibroid. There are mainly two types of the fibroid. These types are as per the location of the fibroid. So these types are corporeal fibroid and cervical fibroid. Corporeal means body. So fibroid is in the body of the uterus and the other location is in the cervix. So it may be cervical. The corporeal fibroid is the commonest variety of the fibroid. Mostly all the fibroids are corporeal in nature, or you will find them in the body of the uterus. Only 1 to 2% of the fibroids are cervical. They are present, they are located in the cervix. This classification will make your understanding more clear regarding the types of the fibroid. Mainly two types: body fibroid and cervical fibroid. Body fibroid also called cervical fibroid. It is again of the three types: intramural, subserous and submucous. Subserous again of two types: subserous, it may be broad ligament and wandering or parasitic fibroid. The subserous fibroids are sessile and pedunculated, and the cervical fibroid the cervical fibroid, it may be anterior, posterior, central or lateral according to the location in the cervix, right? So these are different types of the fibroid as per the location of the fibroid. First we come to the interstitial or the intramural variety. That is the type of the body fibroid. Intramural, that means within the wall of the uterus. Intramural means within the wall, right? So here you will find the fibroid in the substance of the uterine wall. So fibroid is within the uterine wall, that is interstitial or intramural fibroid. All fibroids are of this type initially. So when the fibroid begins to develop, initially it is of this type, then becomes subserous or submucous. Subserous is when the fibroid from the uterine wall is going outside, that is subserous. So you see, if from the intramural it is changing into subserous, and when it projects towards uterine cavity, it is going inward, that means it is being submucous. So as I told you earlier, initially all the fibroids are developing in the uterine wall, within the uterine wall, but later if they go out, it becomes subserous type. If they go in towards the cavity, they become submucous type. This intramural variety is the commonest type of the fibroid. About 70% fibroids lie in the uterine wall, right? Posterior wall is the most common site for formation of this type of the tumor. Next is subserous or subperitoneal. When the intramural fibroid is pushed outside towards the peritoneal cavity, it is pushed outwards towards the peritoneal cavity, it becomes subperitoneal or subserous fibroid. It may be partially or completely covered by peritoneum. This type of the fibroid is partially or completely covered by peritoneum. When completely covered by peritoneum, it looks like a pedicle, and so it is called pedunculated fibroid. A pedunculated tumor may acquire adhesions with surrounding structures and get detached from uterine wall, and so it is called wandering or parasitic fibroid. So when it detaches from the uterine wall, goes outside, it is called wandering or parasitic fibroid. When the fibroid, please again find the spelling correction, is fibroid, it grows between the layers of the broad ligament, it is called ligamentary fibroid or also called broad ligamentary fibroid. Then we come to the third type of the third type of the body of the third type of the fibroid which you find in the body of the uterus, that is the submucous fibroid. The intramural fibroid, when pushed towards the uterine cavity, that is pushed inward, it grows underneath the endometrium or the mucous membrane of the uterus and become the submucous type. It is submucous type. Please again find the spelling correction. Projects inside the uterine cavity. Intramural fibroid projects inside the uterine cavity. It can make the uterine cavity irregular and distorted. So it will make the cavity irregular and distorted. The pedunculated submucous fibroid may come out through the cervix. This type of fibroid may be infected or ulcerated and will produce metrorrhagia. So the important symptom of the submucous fibroid is metrorrhagia. The patient presents with metrorrhagia. When you go on investigation, you may detect this intramural type of the fibroid. This variety is less common. Only about 5% patients get intramural fibroid. So it is very, very less common. Still, it produces the maximum damage, maximum symptoms. Even though its occurrence is less, it is less common, it produces maximum damage, or you can say maximum symptoms. So what symptoms it produces or what damage it causes to the patient? Here we come to the fate of submucous fibroid. Fate means destruction. Fate also means destiny, but here we mean by destruction. So what destruction the submucous type of fibroid causes? The polypus formation may occur in submucous fibroid following pedicle formation. So when the pedicle forms, following pedicle formation, polypus formation may occur, polyp formation may occur into the submucous fibroid. There are more chances of infection, suppuration and sloughing. Malignant change is more common than any other variety. So sarcomatous changes are more common, more likely to occur in the submucous type of the fibroid than other two types of the fibroid. It may rarely cause inversion of the uterus during the process of expulsion. Because it is projected towards uterine cavity, when the intramural fibroid is expelled out, it is coming out, it may sometimes cause inversion of the uterus, but that is the rare possibility. And it may also cause surface necrosis. And you know, necrosis is the destruction. So these we discussed about the types of the fibroid. We'll talk about further in the fibroid in the next session. Thank you.